We stepped off the main trail, and there it was, a dead body, in the middle of the woods on a hiking trail I had been to before. A trail I had chosen to visit that day with a man I barely knew. Sherwood stood beside me, calm, not flinching, not reacting, just standing there. I didn't understand what that stillness meant until later. Let me tell you how I got there. It started with a movie night. My childhood friend and I hadn't hung out in a while, and she suggested we catch up at her apartment. Comfy sweatpants, princess movies, pizza. The kind of evening that asks nothing from you. Her place was a little scattered, things on every surface, but it always felt real and lived in, and that made it feel like home. I was completely comfortable. Then she mentioned the pizza was being delivered by someone named Sherwood. My first reaction was mild irritation. I assumed she'd invited someone else to join us, a guy, specifically, and that wasn't the night I'd signed up for. But she clarified. Sherwood wasn't joining us. He was just dropping off the food. When he arrived, something about him immediately felt slightly off. Not threatening, not aggressive, just off. He fumbled with the pizza boxes. He didn't quite make eye contact. My friend introduced us quickly, and the warmth in her tone told me this wasn't their first interaction. She was noticeably kind to him, more than the situation called for. There were maybe 5 minutes of stilted small talk before Sherwood asked for my number. I was sitting right next to my friend, and saying no in that moment felt impossible. So I gave it to him. My friend eventually gave him a gentle cue. Something like, "Thanks so much for dropping this off." He got the hint. We both hugged him. She said, "Drive safe." He left. I turned to her and asked what that was about. She explained that Sherwood was essentially her unpaid personal assistant. He did her grocery shopping. He ran errands. He dropped off food. All without being paid. She'd never asked him to stop, and I could tell, even then, that she wasn't entirely sure how to. We were both 23 at the time. Young and probably not as sharp as we thought we were. But sitting there that night, we both sensed something was wrong with Sherwood. We just couldn't name it. There was nothing we could point to directly. It was more of a feeling, the kind that sits just below the surface and doesn't quite go away. A few days after the movie night, Sherwood added us both to a group chat. He sent a meme or two every week, nothing alarming, nothing overly personal. It felt calculated in a specific way, like he was trying to stay present without giving either of us a reason to block him. He'd clearly learned to pace himself. I don't know his history. That's just how it read to me. He also started offering to help with errands. Every weekend, a message. "Do you need anything? Can I help with something?" The first time he asked, I said no. And the second time. And the third. But one day I slipped up. I'd found a good deal on a washing machine through an online listing. The problem was I had no way to pick it up or get it installed. I mentioned it in the group chat without really thinking. Sherwood immediately volunteered. He'd handle the whole thing. The pickup, the transport, the installation. All of it. And he did. He handled every part of it without complaint. And it saved me a real headache. I tried to pay him. He wouldn't take the money. I insisted. He kept refusing. Eventually, he suggested a trade instead. He wanted me to go on a hike with him. I was uneasy the moment he said it. It felt too personal. It felt like something that could easily become a date without me ever agreeing to one. But he framed it as a simple transaction. A friendly outing, nothing more. Just a way to even the score after the washing machine. I talked myself into it. He'd done me a real favor, and I told myself this was payment. I also told myself that maybe he was lonely, and maybe an afternoon of company would mean something to him. Part of me was still uneasy about being in an isolated setting with him. I went anyway. The day of the hike, Sherwood chose a trail nearby. I'd been there before. It's beautiful, genuinely gorgeous. We walked along the main path, and he talked about ordinary things: work, the weather, his hobbies. Nothing alarming, nothing that should have set anything off. Then he suggested we step off the main trail. He said he wanted to show me something special. I don't know why I followed him. I did. We reached a secluded spot, and there was a dead body. I don't know how long it had been there. My heart was pounding. And Sherwood was calm. Completely, unnervingly calm. He wasn't startled. He wasn't disturbed. He stood there like he was showing me a waterfall or a good view. The smell was there. Not overwhelming. My guess is that it had been worse at some point and had since settled, but it was there. The face was still recognizable. There were insects. It was real, and it was recent enough. And Sherwood was just standing beside me like none of this was unusual. That stillness scared me more than the body did. I didn't yell. I didn't run. I forced myself to stay steady and said something vague about needing to get back. I turned and started walking toward the main path, urging him to follow. He came with me without argument, still acting like nothing had happened. I was in full fight-or-flight mode. I scanned the trail for other people, hikers, rangers, anyone. The moment I spotted a man walking alone on the path, I called out to him. Not to expose Sherwood, just to not be alone with him. I asked the man for directions back to the parking area, and I kept acting confused by his answers until he agreed to just walk us there himself. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. The three of us walked to the parking area together. The moment we got there, I called my friend. I told her I was with Sherwood, and I said we'd be at her apartment in 20 minutes. Sherwood agreed. That call was deliberate. I needed it on the record that he was the last person I'd been with. I also texted her immediately with what had happened, so that was documented too. He drove me to her place. We thanked him and told him to go. Once he was gone, I told my friend everything. She already had the text, but hearing it out loud was different. The body, the insects, the way his face had looked, still recognizable, and Sherwood's reaction throughout. That flat, untroubled calm. She was horrified, not just at what I'd seen, but at how casually Sherwood had treated the whole situation. She told me she'd always felt something was off about him. She just hadn't been able to imagine it going this far. We both agreed. Sherwood needed to be gone from our lives. But she admitted she felt stuck. She'd let the arrangement go on too long. She'd become reliant on him, and she wasn't sure how to cut it off without it turning into something unpredictable. So we made a plan. A gradual one. We would limit contact to times when other people were present. We'd slow down our responses. I would never ask for his help again. She would ask for less and less, and respond to his offers with something gentle and deflecting. Something like telling him she was trying to be more independent, but that his help had meant a lot. It worked, slowly. The messages kept coming on weekends, offers to run errands, check-ins asking if we needed anything. And she kept responding warmly but with distance. Then she started dating someone new. She introduced her boyfriend to Sherwood. Sherwood never contacted her after that. The same night of the hike, I called the police and reported what I'd seen. It was over a month before anything came back to us. Then a news report confirmed it. A body had been discovered in that area. An arrest had been made, not Sherwood. The person arrested was someone Sherwood followed on Instagram. I have no idea if Sherwood was connected to what happened. I don't know if he stumbled onto that scene the same way I did, or if he'd been there before. I don't know what it meant that he was so calm. I only know what I saw and what I felt standing next to him. I've gone back over this story many times, and what stays with me isn't the body. It's the moment before, the weeks of small favors, the group chat memes, the washing machine, all of it building toward one afternoon on a trail with a man I never should have been alone with. And I walked right into it, step by step, because nothing he did was ever quite alarming enough to stop. Every step felt reasonable in isolation. Together, they added up to something I almost didn't walk back from. The moral isn't complicated. Trust your instincts. Even when you can't name what's wrong, even when the person seems harmless, even when saying no feels awkward or unkind, that feeling that sits below the surface and doesn't go away. It's there for a reason. Listen to it. If this one stayed with you, I'd really love to hear from you in the comments, especially if you've ever been in a situation where something felt wrong and you couldn't explain why. Help someone else find this story. And if you want to hear more, subscribing means you won't miss the next one.